edition of Wings Weekly. I'm Aaron Smith, filling in for Jay Kleinknecht, joined as always by Francis Hanslone, head coach. A couple things we got to talk about right off the bat. Tuesday last week, going up to Bismarck. I would like to say a rare Tuesday night or weekday game, but that's actually the 9th weekday game the Wings have played this year. That's Monday through Thursday. So just now that weekday games, I guess, are kind of over, what did that kind of do to your guys' schedule? I know practice gets thrown off a little bit, and then the weekend plans get a little bit disturbed as well.
Well, I like the weekday games, especially in the second half of the year, because it breaks up your routine a little bit. It gives the guys a different look to the schedule. Obviously, 7 games in 14 days was a real good gut check for us. I'm really excited about these last 3 weeks of the season, Aaron, because we'll have full practice weeks. We'll have the opportunity to take a day off here or there if we need it. And our group's been real good on the weekend when we've had a full practice week. If you look at February, we had a pretty good month statistically. We scored more goals, we collected more points, we won more games. That was a month where we had full weeks of practice. So it's very, very exciting for us, the last 3 weeks of the season, the final 6 games, to have practice weeks where we can get out and work on the things we need to work on. So we're more looking ahead now to these last 6 and these final 3 weeks. And it'll be a night. Usually midweek games provide you a nice break. In this case now, the last 3 weeks having no midweek games will provide us a nice break on the other end of things.
So kind of getting that tougher part of the schedule out of the way, so now you can kind of focus, and not that's necessarily easier, but a little bit more able to focus on the upcoming games of the weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. And we need the practice time, and we need to get out, and we need to rep and practice the situations we've been seeing in the game where we've been generating chances, but we haven't been scoring goals. Usually when we've had the Monday through Thursday to replay those scenarios in practice, it's helped us because our group is so diligent Monday through Thursday, and they enjoy coming to the rink and practicing every day. So the timing is right. This comes at a good time for us.
That's good looking forward, and kind of focusing a little bit more on that Tuesday game. Scoreless first period, then Ethan Stewart able to get you guys on the board midway through the second. Just kind of talk about his play as of recently. I know it's not an individual, anything like that. It's definitely not an individual sport, but he's kind of come on as of late and definitely put some points up on the board.
Yeah, he's been diligent. He's been a good second half player for us. This is a young man who brings a positive attitude to the rink every day. He controls the things that he controls. He's one of the last guys off the ice every day. And he's a classic example right now of good things coming to good people who do good things every day. And we kind of, the theme, at least to open the show here, has been Monday through Thursday and getting that routine back. He's been a real good routine, real good process player for us. He works at his game, and good for him that he's found a way to generate more shots, generate more scoring chances, and get on the board a little more as of late.
Absolutely. And then later on in that period, Bismarck is able to tie it up on the power play goal with under a minute to go. It kind of seems like they've been able to do that either early on in the games or late in the games, getting that goal right before going into the locker room to kind of give them some momentum. Maybe talk a little bit about how that affects your team going into the locker room.
Yeah, they've been real opportunistic. On Tuesday, we got into a little bit of penalty trouble. I thought some of the penalties on us were deserved. Some of them were just so-so. Their power play had given us a hard time earlier in the year, and our penalty kill has done a good job answering their power play. And when you're confident in your penalty kill, it allows you to play more on your toes, a little bit looser, throw the body, not question yourself, not play tentative, and we've been able to do that against Bismarck in the last, I would say, 2 to 3 to 4 games. But those momentum goals that can be tough. Our group has pretty good spirit. We maintain a pretty positive outlook. So I would say, I would answer it this way, Aaron. I think our skin has thickened as the season has gone along. And those type of situations, momentum goals, even though we need to try to not have it happen, haven't dented our confidence like maybe it would have dented our confidence in, say, the first 2 or 3 months of the season versus the last 2 or 3 months.
Yeah, and you can kind of see that as not record-wise, but as far as the goal differential in the game, definitely a lot closer down the stretch here against the Bobcats. And of course, then zeros in the third period, sends it into overtime. They're able to get a game-winning goal from Alexander in overtime, just a few minutes or so into the game. So kind of a tough way to start the week, but then you got to refocus, like you said, get back at it, and then welcome them in to the ODI Center Friday night. Great attendance, 1,500 people in the crowd. Crowd seemed to be fired up, ready to go. They kind of score first midway through the period, and that kind of gets everybody sitting back on their hands a little bit more. Talk about that first goal.
Yeah, that first goal was tough. It was a weird goal. Their forward just shot the puck and went off our goalie's glove, and then our defenseman had, I believe it was Pike going to the net. He had him, but he didn't have his stick all the way, and they put the rebound in past Peter Tomei. I thought we responded well. I liked our game Tuesday. I thought Tuesday night was a well-earned point on the road in Bismarck in light of the situation. We found a way to leave there with a little bit of something. And I really liked our game on Friday. It stinks getting 1 out of 4 points. That's not what we were hoping for. But our process and our effort on Friday in particular was very, very good. We generated the most number of scoring chances and offensive looks than we've ever generated against Bismarck. And I will tell you this because this is what I believe. Earlier in the year, I thought the factors Bismarck versus Aberdeen were in this order. They showed they were older than us, they were stronger than us, and their goaltender was real good. Now I think the games recently against Bismarck have just come down to their goaltender has been very, very good against us. He has not given up a bad goal, and he does not allow us to create any momentum, especially in our building here at home. Not an excuse. I think it's a reality in this series. I'm happy with how we played. Our group is very, very hungry for the week to, like I said a couple moments ago, Aaron, replay these scoring chances and try to find ways to put pucks in the net in practice so we're confident going into Friday night. I liked a lot about our game on Friday night, and we really appreciate the crowd. We were down 3-0 in that game, and we just felt like the crowd was with us the entire night, and that really helped our players. Right up until 12 seconds left in the game on the power play, Ryan Cook sprints back to a puck and turns it up. I felt like we tried to score and we tried to crack Shepherd right up until the final horn. So the result is not what we want, especially at this time of the year. We need points if we want to make the playoffs and have a chance to be in the dance at the end of the day. But our process was good, our work ethic is good, and that I can't complain about.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely exciting, and the crowd was into it the entire time. One time I noticed that the crowd definitely getting more into it, I would say, is there was a stretch there in the second period, I believe it was 4 straight penalties, including a 5-on-3, and then that kind of led to them getting their second goal. I don't really want to talk about the officials' calls. They see what they apparently see, but it's got to be tough killing off 4 straight penalties. I mean, your penalty killing line's getting tired, and that affects kind of everything else that goes with it.
For sure, and just going back to Tuesday, we had to kill a 7-minute penalty. I have never, in my young career, experienced as a player, goaltender, and as a coach, a 7-minute penalty.
Yeah.
I mean, in a row like that. That was a first for me. We deserved some of it. I don't think we deserved all of it. And I would say the same thing about the 5-on-3. Did we maybe deserve the second penalty to put us down 5-on-3? Yes, but then there was a situation where we're down 5-on-3. Will Hammer comes up with the puck, and it sure looked to me like a Bismarck player stuck his knee out and got a piece of hammer, and the referee missed that. So I just like consistency from the officials, and I'm not sure that both games this week were consistent. That would be my only gripe, and I'm not going to say any more than that because we want to keep it a clean program.
All right. Well, kind of going from that, the Wings on the Tuesday and Friday game, 0-for-5 on the power play Tuesday, 0-for-3 on the power play Friday. Is that just, I mean, you guys have a good power play, 14th in the NA right now. Is that something to do with just the way Bismarck does things? I know another stat here is 23 shots on goal Tuesday, 37 on Friday. I noticed throughout the year, Bismarck blocks a lot of shots.
Yeah.
Is that something they're doing on the power play especially that's kind of leading, I mean, the chances, 0-for-5, 0-for-3, is that playing a factor?
No, it's a good question, Aaron. They do as good a job as any team I've seen this year at fronting pucks. They get in the lane, they're big in the lane, they spread out. and their players sacrifice for each other, and that's why they're one of the top teams. I'd like to think we're willing to do the same, but they do it very well. So yes, that certainly aggravates our power play. That's them controlling some things that they can control. We have to be a little bit better at our defensemen pump faking, at finding lanes, at getting to the net. There were some opportunities where we moved the puck around, we had good possession, and then like our defensemen would wind up a little too high or a little too long with the puck. And the wind up is the easiest thing if you don't have a bomb or a cannon from the point, because it just buys the killer time to get more square, more in the lane, and block the shot. And when your killers want to block shots like the Bismarck guys do, then the wind-up just hurts your cause. So we have to be a little smarter, we have to be a little more intelligent on the power play, but I certainly have to tip my hat to their killers. They do make it hard.
Definitely, and that does close out the regular season series against the Bobcats. 0-8-4 is the record. But 8 of those games, that's a little misconceiving, I guess, but 8 of those games are 2 goals or less. 4 of those games obviously going into overtime, especially as we said of late, a lot more tighter games against the Bobcats, which I guess if the season were to end today, we would be probably facing them in the first round of the playoffs. So definitely some momentum heading into the postseason. We're going to take a quick break now and hear from our sponsor. We'll be back right after this.
Let's make a taco. No, seriously. Start with a tortilla, soft tortilla, warm it, kiss it, don't kiss it. Chicken? How about tequila lime chicken? Now we're cooking. Slice this, peel that, snip those. Salsa? Verde. Cheese? Cotija. Oh, forgot to mention. Guac. That's better. See, anyone can make a taco, but we're not anyone. We're Qdoba, and these are knockout tacos. Qdoba Mexican Eats. Choose flavor.
All right, welcome back to this week's edition of Wings Weekly. Once again, I'm Aaron Smith, filling in for Jake Kleinknecht, joined as always by head coach Francis Anzalone. We talked a little bit about the past week against the Bismarck Bobcats. This week, it's more of a focus on the Austin Bruins coming to town this Friday and Saturday night. Right now, we're 2-5-1 versus the Bruins this season. The last meeting was here at home in February, able to sweep them out with a 4-3 overtime victory and a 4-1 in regulation victory. What does that kind of do for the team's confidence going in? And you're struggling against a team. You come in here at home where you're comfortable, and you're able to pick up two big wins, 4 points. The last time you guys faced them.
Well, several weeks ago, we talked about needing to stay the course against Brookings, who we've had some good fortune against. We talked about how big the games were going to be against the Magicians. Of course, that's already happened. And we talked about needing to find ways to take bites out of Bismarck, Minot, and Austin. And we struggled against Bismarck in the regular season, no question, though I don't think the scoreboard always tells the story of those games against the Bobcats, kind of like you mentioned before the break. But we started to take bites out of Minot, and we now know we can beat Austin. So that does do a lot for confidence. They're going to come here. I'm sure they're going to be organized. They're going to be prepared. They want to solidify themselves as that third place team as the first round of the playoffs is right around the corner. So I expect a real good series. We played them hard last time. We got to the net. We made some good plays coming through the rink. That was a big confidence builder for us that weekend against Austin. And this is another big weekend coming up. We have, like I said, a full week of practice. We have a chance to continue to work on finishing and the skills related to goal scoring so that hopefully, and this is going to be tough because Austin is real good, we could pick up where we left off the last time we played them. 8 goals in 2 games was not bad. We need to try to have that happen again, even though they're mighty good and they're going to be mighty ready. We're wise to assume that they're going to bring their A game on Friday night, and we have to try like heck to bring our A+ game.
Absolutely. And one thing I kind of noticed with teams around this time of year, just throughout the years of seeing a little bit of playoff hockey here in Aberdeen, is it seems like everybody kind of amps up a little bit more. We saw it 2 years ago against Bismarck first round, last year in the first round. It kind of seemed to be like the last 2 Tuesdays ago, and I guess when we were up at Minot, they kind of seemed that they had a plan. They were going to be physical. They were going to take pulver out of it by being physical. Is that kind of what you're starting to work on? I mean, you've been building on it all year, but trying to put more of a focus like this needs to be playoff hockey because, like you said, Right now, 2 points up on the Magicians, 3 points up on the Bobcats, with 6 games to go. It's almost like we're in the playoffs right now, where every point's going to matter and come down the stretch.
Well, like I've said to Jay, we've actually had our best success around here when we've just talked about short-term goals, like the first 5 minutes of the game. I think the players understand this is an intense time of the year. I mean, listen, this is as you know, this generation, they're on their phones all the time, so they're looking at the stats. They can see what's going on. We don't have to talk a whole heck of a lot about it. I think our work ethic and our attitude and the pace and aggression we've tried to play with in games has done the talking. This is an intense time of the year, but I mean, you look at the game that you went up and called for us in Minot. I mean, that was the farthest thing from a casual weeknight game.
Yeah.
Minot's trying to catch Bismarck for first. Austin's trying to hang on to third.
Yeah.
We're trying to grab fourth, maybe make these games against Austin mean something big for potentially third. You never know what might happen. Our last 2 games of the year against those guys in their building. So this is an intense time of the year. Our guys know it. But more importantly, and I'm with them every day, the fans aren't, their output, their attitude, their focus tells me they know. You look at our practice Monday. I said to the guys after practice, this felt like mid-September. Like, we're going hard, we're chomping at the bit, we're being diligent, and that's what you got to have at this time of the year, because these games ain't getting easier, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Down the stretch. Quick look at the schedule for the Wings down the stretch. Versus Austin at home this Friday and Saturday. Then a home and home against Brookings, which is absolutely critical. Obviously,
Yeah.
not to overlook any games. But then, like you said, mentioned going to Austin for the 8th and 9th to close out the regular season. So, still a lot of points left on the table, and a lot of points that the Wings are hoping to get. One thing that I noticed kind of stuck out with the Bruins coming in here this weekend is they've got incredible special teams. I assume you got to think that's going to play a role in the games. They come in here 6th ranked power play in the NAHL, 4th ranked penalty kill in the NAHL. So really, got to be, like you said, the refs are going to call it differently, but you got to stay out of the penalty box. And when they do get the opportunity, got to hope to kill it. And we're the 8th best penalty kill in the league, 14th best power play. So, either way, it could kind of be decided when it comes down to special teams this weekend.
You're right. A lot of our past games against them, particularly the first 2 series against them in their building, the 2 times we've been in Riverside, I think it's ended up being a special team series in their barn. Their power play's very good. They move it around the top awful quick. Their flanks on the power play don't mind shooting it. And they're really good at going from the side to the goal line to that area we call the sweet spot, which is basically the face-off dot to the middle of the rink. They put a player right in that happy, soft area, and they do a good job of feeding the puck to that player. So we have to do a good job on the kill. We were better in our building against them on the PK because we went after them more on the forecheck, and we've been doing that a lot more lately against everyone. And we've been spotting what we call pressure cues when we've been defending on the kill. Those are signs that the opponent's not in full control, and we've been jumping and getting more aggressive at times. It leads to being a little bit messier, Aaron, but it also leads to odd man breaks. And we've had more odd man rushes and more shorthanded goals recently because we've been more aggressive. And then the key on the power play, it's going to be a lot like Bismarck. They get aggressive at times, and they're big and they get in the lane. So we've got to do a really good job of just delivering pucks to the net and having people at the cage. We may not score a lot of, pretty one-time shots, but if we can get numbers to the net, we will have an opportunity to maybe score on the second and the third attempt, and a goal's a goal. We got to get them some way, somehow.
Absolutely. Kind of looking forward to that. I know we talked about a little bit about the Aberdeen Wings schedule, but talk a little bit about controlling your own destiny. This is obviously the situation. You go home for break, and you want to come back and have the ability to be in this situation where if you were to win out, you don't have to worry about anything. You don't have to rely on somebody else knocking somebody else off. So what does controlling your own destiny mean? Just not having to worry about the other games. You take care of your business and everything, and we'll be in the playoffs.
Well, first of all, it's a sign, I think, of how far we've come, because there was a point earlier in the season where maybe things were a little bit cloudy on the standings front, and we found a way to get ourselves into a playoff position. We have just like a hair of breathing room, not very much. What we need to do is we need to just go one game at a time. We need to focus on the first 5 minutes on Friday night against the Austin Bruins, try and outplay them in the first 5, then try and outplay them and outscore them in the next 5. I've just found, and I've said this before, I don't mean to sound like a broken record, that the short-term focus and the simple message is the way to go with this particular group that we have here in Aberdeen this year. It makes the task feel less daunting. We just need to control the things that we can control. And the one thing I will tell you, Aaron, that I told our players early today is don't wait for someone else to do you favors. Don't assume that the bounces are going to go your way, because let's be honest, this has not been a good bounce year. We've had to face a lot of adversity, pucks going off goalies, knobs hitting the post, weird calls from referees at weird points of the game. I'm not complaining. It's just been one of those years. So don't fall victim to the trap of thinking that the Magicians play 4 against the good old Bobcats. The Bobcats are going to do you any favors. Let's assume that the Magicians are going to play their 4 best games of the year against Bismarck. Let's make sure we play our best 6 of the year in these last 6, starting in the first 5 minutes on Friday. I hope that answers your question. That's how we're trying to approach it. Right or wrong, that's the outlook that we're taking in these last 6 games starting on Friday.
Yeah, definitely one step at a time is the way to go. As you kind of mentioned before, we are 2 points ahead of the Magicians, 3 points ahead of the Blizzard, Brookings Blizzard. Only 5 points behind Austin, who sit in the 3rd place, so they're still fighting. And then Minot and Brookings are tied atop the division, so they're still battling for the regular season crown. So everybody with something to play for here, including obviously Aberdeen trying to get in there. This Friday versus Austin, it's going to be Military Fire and Police Appreciation Night. All active members will receive free admission to Friday night's game. We'll also be honoring the back-to-back state champion Aberdeen Lady Cougars during first intermission. So huge accomplishment for them.
Very cool.
They'll be here first intermission. Saturday night is the annual jersey auction. This year, I'm sure you've seen us wear the red jerseys, so we're going to be auctioning those off after Saturday's game. We're also doing billet appreciation after warm-ups, and then it's going to be Parents' Weekend all weekend long. So a lot of big things. We're expecting a big crowd here at the ODI Center to hopefully move a little bit closer in the playoff push down the stretch. Also, one final thing, I guess, congratulations to former Aberdeen wing Corey Ward, who signed I believe it's player...
A PTO, I believe it's called, right?
PTO contract with the St. John's Ice Caps, I believe Montreal affiliate. So good to see former wings doing great things. That's all we have for this week's edition. So, Coach, do you have anything to add?
No, not at all. That Corey Ward contract's pretty well earned. I mean, that's kind of what it's all about here. We've had players get drafted in the NHL. We've moved plenty on to college, and good for Corey. I didn't know Corey. I didn't have a chance to coach Corey, but he earned everything from what I've been told, and he's earned another one, so good for him. We're pulling for him as he plays in a very unique place, St. John's, Newfoundland. That's quite a part of the continent up there in eastern Canada.
Absolutely. All right, that'll do it for this week's edition of Wings Weekly. Thanks for joining us.